Have you ever looked at a marketing dashboard and just gotten that sinking feeling? You know the one. You can see the money going out, but you're getting absolutely nothing back. Well, today we're going to tear down a real-world case study of exactly that. It's the story of a product design firm, Shark Design, and how their Google Ads account went from being a total money pit to an absolute lead-generating machine. Okay, let's get into it.
And honestly, waste is the perfect word here. This wasn't just a case of underperformance, this was a complete and total breakdown. You had this great team with an amazing service, but their advertising was basically a furnace designed to burn cash. Money was just pouring in one end and literally nothing was coming out the other.
And just to make this real, let's put a hard number on it. This is what they spent in just one of their campaigns over a 90-day period. Yup, over $1,500 for zero. Not a single genuine lead. This campaign wasn't just inefficient, it was a black hole for their budget. So clearly it was time to figure out what on earth was going on. So the first step in any recovery mission like this is the diagnosis. You got to pop the hood and find out exactly where the engine is broken. And the audit here uncovered two massive systemic problems that were bleeding this account dry. The first, and honestly the most critical issue, was something we started calling the conversion black hole. This was a fundamental technical flaw in how everything was set up. It basically meant that even if a perfect customer wanted to become a lead, the system itself made it almost impossible for them to do it, or at least impossible to track it. Okay, just follow this journey for a second. A potential customer clicks an ad, they fill out a form, so far, so good. But then they get shot over to a completely different website, an external scheduling tool where they have to enter all their info again. And after all that hassle, they get unceremoniously dumped onto a generic case studies page. No confirmation, no, hey, thanks, we got your info, nothing. As a user, it feels broken and unprofessional. As a marketer, it's an absolute tracking nightmare. And the fallout from this was, well, it was catastrophic. The account had, get this, 55 different conversion actions set up, and not a single one was working right. The data was complete garbage. We see things like a single click somehow triggering 6 conversions. How can you possibly optimize a campaign when you can't trust a single number on the screen? You can't. So that was problem number 1. Problem number 2 was all about strategy. We called it the everything bagel approach. Where you just throw everything on there and hope for the best. Instead of creating tight, focused ad groups, they just dumped everything together. High-value, ready-to-buy keywords were getting mixed in with super vague, expensive ones, and it was just killing the relevance of their ads. And here is a perfect example of that in action. Someone searching for a product development company is probably looking to hire someone, right? They've got a project, but a search for prototype companies, that could be a student doing research, a hobbyist, anyone. And yet both were in the same ad group, getting the same ad. That vague term was costing them over $18 a click and generated absolutely nothing. Pure wasted cash. And believe me, the problems didn't stop there. There was only one ad in each group, so they weren't testing anything to see what message actually worked. They were burning money on searches that included words like how-to or DIY. People were never going to hire them. And worse, entire service categories, like industrial design and mechanical engineering, weren't even being targeted. The ads were basically invisible to a huge part of their potential customer base. Okay, so enough with the problems. We've diagnosed the illness. Now let's talk about the cure. This wasn't going to be a single quick fix. It required a really deliberate, 3-phase plan to rebuild the whole thing from the ground up, starting with the absolute most critical piece. Phase 1 was all about fixing that conversion black hole. It was non-negotiable. First, we got rid of that confusing journey and put a single, simple form right on the website. Then, and this is so important, we made it so when someone submitted that form, they landed on a dedicated thank you page. That page is now where our one single reliable conversion tag fires. The scheduling tool is still there, but it's used smartly now, in the follow-up email, not as the first broken step. And the impact was like flipping a light switch. It was almost instant. Within 48 hours, all that chaos turned into clean, trustworthy data. For the first time, we could actually see what was working and what wasn't. This was the turning point. So, now that we could actually trust our numbers, we moved on to phase 2, tearing down those messy campaigns. We paused the old everything bagel structure and built 5 brand new campaigns, each one laser-focused on a specific service line, like product design or engineering. No more mess, this was all about surgical precision. Finally, phase 3 was all about the words themselves. With these new hyper-relevant ad groups, we could actually write copy that speaks directly to the person searching. The formula was simple but super effective. You hook them by matching their search term, you show them a clear benefit of working with you, and then you build trust with some social proof. And crucially, we started testing at least 3 different ads from day 1, so we were constantly learning and improving.
So, we've gone through the whole diagnosis and the 3-part prescription. Now for the part everyone wants to see, the payoff. Did all of this foundational work, all this restructuring, did it actually make a difference?
The numbers here are just wow. In the next 90 days, we actually spent 15% less money than they had before, but the conversions, they went up by over 500%, from just 37 to 231, which meant the cost to get a new lead absolutely plummeted. It went from a painful $141 all the way down to just over $19. That is an 86% drop.
I mean, just look at that change. This is what we're talking about. This is a visual of what happens when you stop wasting money and start investing it wisely. Every single dollar was now working exponentially harder for the business, bringing in qualified leads for a tiny fraction of the old cost.
But, numbers are one thing. The real win, the proof that this was really working, it came directly from the sales director. They said the people booking calls now were legit. They had actual projects, they had real budgets. The conversations were finally the right conversations.
So what can you take away from all this? First, your thank you page is probably the most important underrated asset you have for tracking paid traffic. Don't neglect it. Second, super granular campaign structure isn't optional. It's what dictates your performance. Third, think of your ad copy as a conversation, not a billboard. And finally, negative keywords are your budget's best friend. They're like its immune system, protecting you from waste. Getting these fundamentals right changes everything.
And that really brings us to the final thought here. This whole incredible turnaround started with one simple goal: finding the biggest leak in the bucket. So I'll just leave you with this question to chew on for your own work. What is the single biggest leak in your marketing funnel right now? And what's your plan to fix it?